I finished high school, and I had very tough talks with my parents because I told them I don't feel like going to university.
As soon as I got into the startup atmosphere, I really found myself like in a very cool and flexible team.
Okay, I'm gonna take the challenge. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna try.
I did the same thing. I also went away from university. I went into this direction, and I wake up every day and think to myself, okay, what if they, from today to tomorrow, what if they just don't like me anymore? What if something happens?
I continue my approach of self-learning and letting this business idea be my kind of university project.
Every member should do something and bring something to the table, or this won't work.
My mom defined me as a Freigeist, so like a free spirit. I do whatever I want. I go wherever I want.
BotTalk podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Startup Story podcast. So if you're wondering who I am, usually I'm the guy behind the camera, but for today, for this special occasion, I came here in front because I'm hosting today's episode of Startup Story podcast, and I have a really cool guest with me. This is Malte.
You also went like a quite unusual way into the workplace, into a company, and I guess that's what we want to talk about today. So I had a similar way, like an unusual way into the workforce. Maybe more on that later. Now, really quick, I'm Malte. I work at Space and Lemon Innovations, also friends of BotTalk, neighbors at Beta House here, and have my own startup, ShareSpace, which started out as a school project, and from there somehow I got into working for another company, for Space and Lemon Innovations. So maybe more on that later. Now, really quick. So Space and Lemon Innovations, part-time, and other half of my work time goes into my own project, ShareSpace.
And we just kind of want to talk to you about what we do at our startup. So I'm from BotTalk, obviously. I'm a social media manager and content creator. I'm not that old, so I'm just 19. I cannot tell you like a lot of my business and work-related experience, but that's not the topic of today's podcast. So I finished school in 2020, mid-corona pandemic, you know the drill. So this was very hard for me to figure out after school, what am I planning on doing? What do I want to achieve in life? What are my goals? For my parents, it was very clear. University. I remember how I came to the union I attend now, or that I attended. It was like Google, what is the best paying job? And first was manager, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna study business administration. Didn't work, don't do it. 10 out of 10 would not recommend. So this was the thing I did for the first year. And I really realized that this is not something for me. First of all, I thought this was because of online school, because online learning it's difficult. It's just, you have no one to see around, you have no motivation, you have no attention span especially. But I realized that it's really something practical that I needed. I needed to do something after sitting 12 years in school. I needed to work with my hands or with my mind, and not study and learn by heart and so on and so forth. And I remember applying for millions of jobs because I thought, wow, I kind of found my direction, kind of found something that I know where to go. So it's was marketing, sales, social media. This is something I believed in. This is something I feel like there's a future in. And I had applied to about 30 jobs, I remember, and everyone rejected me. I had a lot of talks with the people, and they asked me, what were you doing? Show me something. So that was the main point, show me something, and I had nothing to show. And that's why I found through a friend, I found out about BotTalk, and I never thought that this would be something that could interest me. The cool thing was that it was remote, and I thought, wow, working from home might be cool. So I applied. I started at BotTalk as a quality assurance tester, so in TTS, so we test like the voices that, so everyone I guess knows what BotTalk is already. So we just tested the voices on grammatical or spelling mistakes and pronunciation mistakes, and it was really dull work. But as soon as I got into the startup atmosphere, I really found myself like in a very cool and flexible team. Like you had to report what you were doing. You had to like say your opinion. You could say, oh, I don't think this is good, and I don't think that this is like running well. Maybe we could change it up a bit. And people were like listening to me, and I was like, wow, I'm getting heard. This is so cool. And this was something I really found encouraged me to also ask my CEO, Andre, maybe if you want, I could do something in the direction of social media and content creation. And he said, I mean, do whatever you want to do. And this was so cool because I had big eyes. I thought, I'm a champ. I'm the best at it. I can do it. And I definitely couldn't. So I really had to work my way up. And I'm very thankful for the fact that I had to work my way up. And now I'm here, hosting the podcast, producing the podcast, working on social media. I kind of feel like I found myself definitely, or I found a direction. And yeah, so long talk about me, Malte. Maybe you want to introduce yourself.
All right, long story. I'm going to try to keep it short a bit. I'm not the best at keeping stories short, but I'm going to try. So quite early on, I kind of decided that the usual way my parents tried to push me into was not really going to work for, like, first because no teenager knows what they want to do in life, right? Like you have all these like different interests or like no motivation to do whatever. But like for me, it was like I was interested in so many like different things like technology, cars, marketing, even like agriculture and like animals and stuff. So I had like all these like different like areas of interest, and I couldn't really, and like my parents were kind of like trying to make me figure out if I wanted to like start a career in one of these interests, but then I would have had to focus on one of them, right? So I kind of decided, okay, for now I just want to learn like in all of these interests. Well, at some point then I wasn't really interested in like agriculture or cars anymore, so I kind of ditched that and but continued this like the approach of like self-learning, and I started attending like university classes without being officially a student, but like I started university classes, or like I went to the Google office here in Hamburg to take like summer classes, Google Zukunftswerkstatt. They offer like free courses on like online marketing, sales, making videos, so all these like digital skills. And I went there with my friends Nick and Leonard. Like Leonard told us about this. Hey, there's this free offering from Google in Hamburg. At that time, we were living in Flensburg. So like for the summer holidays, we went to the train station in Flensburg every morning at 5. Took a train to Hamburg. Spent the whole day in Hamburg, like learning at the Google office. Like they were teaching us about like video editing, online marketing, or doing sales. Like there was a workshop about like negotiating and stuff, like all kinds of like skills, and like we were, wow, we get this for free, like we get like free education. So for the whole like summer holidays when we were like 17 or 18, we went there like every day in the morning at 5 with a train to Hamburg, then spending all day learning in Hamburg, going back to Flensburg, then same the next day for the whole vacation. So I continued this whole like approach of self-learning, right? And at some point, like at some point there was the point where I finished high school, and I had very tough talks with my parents because I told them I don't feel like going to university. I had this school project that I had with Nick, which turned out to turn into ShareSpace at some point. Back then it was like totally different, but like we kind of like wanted to continue it, like use it as like a project to learn on, like our kind of university. So I told my parents I don't want to go to university like right after high school. Just let me do my own thing. Let me work on this business idea. let me continue like this self-learning approach kind of. And they were not really happy about it. Like in the end, they accepted my choice, but it was like, okay, we are not going to give you any money for that. See how you earn your living, see how you can survive somehow. And I was like, okay, I'm going to take the challenge. I'm going to do it. I'm going to try. I found like a little like side job to finance my food, kind of, to like survive basically. But I was happy because I could like continue this approach of self-learning, because I really didn't feel like going to university for that. Or I didn't find any like university course or any university that would kind of continue at the point where I got to by self-learning. So there was no perfect university education for me basically. So yeah, I was happy that I could continue my approach of self-learning and letting this business idea be my kind of university project. Like, because when you have, like, there's one thing, like you learn a skill in school or university, but you're forced to it, compared to you learn it because of your own motivation, because you want to learn it. Like, let's say search engine optimization or whatever. Like they're going to teach it to you in marketing class in university. But it's different if you have to learn it for your own like business idea, like, or video editing, website building, programming, whatever. Like we learned that because we had this motivation of working on our own business idea. And yeah, then going back like in the timeline kind of in my head. So that was like summer 2019, like summer after high school. I came here to Hamburg to connect to other like startup founders, to like people in this like digital and startup ecosystem. So I came here to Beta House, which is like a place to meet lots of startup founders. I met Andre back then. I met Laurent from Space and Lemon Innovations, and I really got along well with them. And with Laurent, like then he offered me a job at Space and Lemon Innovations, and I was like, wow, perfect. Let's do it. Let's figure out how we can like work together. Like I need some money to live, to like continue my business idea. But if I can get a job where I can also like continue learning, and they were actually going to help me learning, and like now it turned out they helped me a lot with like training. We do like presentation training, like workshops to learn how to present, learn how to like speak properly, and like training in general. So yeah, it turned out quite well, and now I've been there for almost 3 years. I'm still learning a lot, working part-time at Space and Lemon Innovations, part-time continuing my business idea, which turned into ShareSpace now. It's going to be renamed soon, but we're also going through like a relaunch process, like BotTalk
main topic of this podcast.
The relaunch podcast. Maybe you should rename it.
Definitely, we should. We should relaunch the podcast.
So, yeah, I guess that's my journey of like self-learning, finding my own way into working for a company, kind of more or less making up my own position in the company, and at the same time working on my own business idea.
Wow, this is such inspirational. I feel like there were two things that immediately jumped in my head that I really kept, and I want you to elaborate on that. So first of all, do you realize how cool you are that without a university degree, without anything on hand, basically just with your knowledge and with your like experience, and you really invested your time into learning something, you got this job at Space and Lemons. I don't feel like this is like happening all the time. This is so cool. So what I wanted to ask you, what difficulties or challenges, or how did you manage it to like get into this startup job without like the perfect experience?
It's, first of all, I don't think it's cool. Nice that you see it in that way.
I said what I said.
Quite risky,
It is.
so to say. Because if I had like a university degree, first of all, it would, of course, would be easier to get a job at whatever company. This is still quite based on luck. Like I was lucky to meet Laurent here at Beta House, and like get along well with him, and like he offered me the job and stuff. So first of all, the component of luck is quite quite important in this approach, but you can't like really build on that, right? Because it's not guaranteed. And then it's quite risky. Like if I had a university degree, if I might lose my job for whatever reason, the company goes bankrupt or whatever, they don't like me anymore and kick me out of the company, or I don't know, I really fuck up and whatever. I still had my university degree, but and could go to whatever other company, because it's like a standard. Like they know I have this degree, I can do this kind of work. With my like going without a degree, like my approach of like self-learning and kind of creating my own career or my own like role, kind of. It makes it way harder to convince like any other company or like people in general of my skill set.
Absolutely.
Because it's not like a standard that it is based on. Like if someone has like a degree in business administration or whatever, you know they have these and these and these skills because they learned in university. For me, I can't even tell you what skills I have, because like whatever. Like how should anyone else know? So yeah, it's more risky, but I like it this way.
I definitely agree with you on the fact that it's a risk, because I did the same thing. I also like went away from university. I went into this direction, and I wake up every day and think to myself, okay, what if they from today to tomorrow, what if they just don't like me anymore? What if something happens? The company goes bankrupt. This is a startup. This is not like a normal a corporate big company where they have to like fire you 3 months before. This can go really quick, and I think to myself every day when I wake up, what is like if I go now, do I have accomplished everything I want to do? Do I have learned everything I wanted to do? And I take this like as a chance to say that, okay, I'm building up my portfolio, I'm building up my skills, I'm definitely taking a risk. It's not maybe gonna work out perfectly. Maybe we're naive to think that, but bad ideas make the best memories, right?
Yeah. It's a question of can you live with this risk? Like, do you still like get to sleep at night although you take like this risk? Probably it's not definitely not for everyone.
No.
So yeah, well, I always ask myself, like, in like every situation, what's the worst that could happen to me? Like, if I think about it, even if I lose my job and don't find another job because no one understands my skill set and doesn't want to hire me and whatever, what's the worst that could happen? I mean, I know I'm not gonna end up in the streets because I know my parents will be there for me. Like, okay, worst case is I have to live at my parents, like, and until I find a new job or like start at university or whatever I decide to do then. So, and that's not the, like, if that's the worst case, that's not like the worst of the worst. Like, I'm not gonna be homeless. Or like we're still in Germany. Like, there's like public welfare. Like, I'm gonna get money if I lose my job. So I can live with that risk. If that's the worst outcome, I can live with that.
So you have your own startup company, right? You're a co-founder. Maybe you could tell us something more about it and how the process of building it went, creating, managing, hosting, whatever.
Again, a long story. So what is now called ShareSpace started back in school in 2018 as a school project. So we went, Nick and I, we went to school together. Like, Nick is my co-founder. We went to school together. So we had this task of, it was like a 2-week like school project, like find a business idea and then like write the business plan, marketing plan and stuff. And back then we had the idea to start a website which would rent out like special occasion clothing, like wedding dresses, wedding suits, special occasion clothing. That was the idea back then, like, which started as a school project. But after these 2 weeks of school project, we worked with some friends on it. It was like, I think 5 of us who worked on it. We said, okay, this is a nice idea. Let's continue working on it. Like let's like dive into it. Let's see what it takes to start this business. So we started learning, and like again, like we are back at self-learning. So we had this business idea, and we wanted to make it happen. So we had to learn how to build a website, how to do marketing for this, how to find people who would support us by either giving us money or like giving their help. So throughout the like whole summer vacation of that year, we were like working on it and getting really into it. We lost some of the people throughout the time because they lost motivation, like, which is fair. Like they wanted to spend their time in different ways, which is totally fine. Like, of course, not everybody is into that. But then it was still the 3 of us after the summer vacation. So we continued, and like we continued working on it. And then at some point we kind of said, okay, why should it only be like special occasion clothing? Why shouldn't we switch it to? Wouldn't it be so nice to have like a website where you can like rent everything you need, like tools and bicycles, surfboards, whatever. And that was the new idea. So we kind of started from the beginning again with a new idea, and continued working on that, and like got into it. And on the way we learned, okay, there are some websites who do the same. So our idea was, okay, we don't have to be the rental shop. We can be like a marketplace. Isn't that like way more clever? Like, because we started like getting into like digital business models, and then you read about, okay, marketplace model. Oh, that's nice. That could fit for us. So we became a marketplace. Where people could like offer things they own for other people to rent it, to make some money on the side, and the other people wouldn't have to buy whatever they need. We got into it. We started it. We found some other websites who did the same, and then in this case we decided, okay, let's continue. There are other websites who do the same, but we try to be different. So we continued that approach, and again learned a lot. We had to like learn other programming language to build this marketplace website. So again, the approach of self-learning. So we got into that. We learned everything we needed for this. Continued, and like at the same time, I was already working at Space and Lemon by that time, and Space and Lemon innovations it's innovations in digital business models as well. So I, at the same time as building ShareSpace, so ShareSpace the name because it's a space where people share their things. So the name made sense back then. So at the same time I was working at ShareSpace and at Space and Lemon Innovations, learning about like digital business models and innovation in digital business models. And then at some point I was like, okay, no, it doesn't really make sense to be this marketplace where people offer everything and people can rent everything. There are websites who do it like this, and there's probably going to be just one website that's going to be the marketplace for everything. But there are so many like niche websites where people that are like focused on, for example, rental of surfboards, rental of bicycles. There's another website for rental of cars, rental of event equipment, rental of camera equipment. So there are like all these websites and all these different niches. Why should we build like one website that offers all these niches but doesn't specialize in one niche? So then what we thought, because I was learning about digital business models, why shouldn't we be like an aggregator? Like we are like and that's where we are now. So now we are like a search engine, like an aggregator for all these rental offers. So we get all the offers from these different rental websites, from the surfboard rental website, from the car rental website, from the event equipment rental website. Show them on our website. You can search on our website, find the best offer, compare prices, just like Momondo or Kayak for flights. ShareSpace is for rental equipment. So you see the name ShareSpace. It's now it's not really fitting anymore. So we are right in the process of relaunching in this version as the search engine, and at the same time we have to find a new name for it. So long story. That's how we went from a school project to all the way to a rental equipment search engine where we are now. But yeah, at the same time connected to my self-education experience, my approach of self-education. It's a whole process. Like that's why we say ShareSpace is our university. Because my co-founder Nick has quite a similar approach. Like he started university just like you, and then at some point he quit because he was like, okay, this is not really, like, I'm not gaining anything from this. I can learn more by self-learning. So yeah, we say ShareSpace is our university.
This is so cool. This is like really great. So a lot of relaunches, a lot of things that were changed.
The Relaunch podcast.
Yeah. We're gonna do this. So I think what I really took away from what you said now is this: like you learned a lot yourself. Do you feel like it's difficult sometimes? Because I'm at this point as well. When you're in a startup, you have to do a lot of things yourself. I think that might be a disadvantage, and it's somehow an advantage as well. So I also had to learn everything, and I felt like, in school they chew everything up for you, and you just sit there, okay, then you got it, and now you have to, by necessity, you kind of need to learn it. And this is more of a motivation than to listen to a 3-hour online lecture by a boring professor who washes his dishes while doing the audio. Oh, I had that. Dishwashing.
Well, it is total freedom, right? Like you can learn whatever you want. You can decide what you learn and what speed you learn at. But that takes so much self-discipline.
Yes.
Like you don't have any professor or teacher or whatever who tells you, okay, in this year we learn this and this and this, and after this year you know this and this and this. So you have to come up with your own plan. Like you have to first figure out what you want to learn. Then find people who can teach you, or like find online classes that can teach you, or like courses or whatever. Like you have to find your sources of knowledge. Then you have to like schedule your learning experience. Like does this fit with my work schedule, or does this fit with my life? Like do I have the time for it? Can I attend these courses? And then kind of figure out, okay, now I want to learn this, and then this, and then this. Like you have to make this whole plan for yourself and go out and find people who can teach you, or like find courses that are going to teach you this. So it takes like so much self-discipline. It sounds like total freedom, and it is, but at the same time, you have to be like very, very disciplined to do this like self-educating approach.
What I find like really interesting to find out from you. So you told us about like freedom, like learning something for yourself, being like self-disciplined. What are more advantages of working for a startup like Space and Lemons, and working for a startup that is basically yours?
That's kind of the first advantage. You get in there with like a unique, unusual background, or like unique, unusual education. It's easier to get a job in I would consider Space and Lemon Innovations also a startup. It's like a small innovation agency, but kind of in a startup mode, so to say. So it's easier to find a job in a startup with like an unusual background, like the corporate would look for. Oh, you didn't do this course, you didn't get this degree, whatever.
Maybe I could add something to that. Like transparency also,
Yeah.
Or for example the fact that you are heard, that you feel like you're working on something, that you do something, you really have an impact on something. I feel that psychologically this like helps a lot. You do something meaningful.
Yeah, you have like a direct impact. Like, yeah, definitely.
So yeah, for me it was also great. So I love traveling. This is like, just like you actually, Malte is a big traveler.
We've talked about it, yeah.
We're a 100% remote company. Of course, we come together for team meetings, for shooting this podcast. But you can travel the world and work from anywhere, and this is amazing. So the fact that you have to grow so that the startup grows, because every member, because there are just a few, there's no big company, every member should do something and bring something to the table, or this won't work. And for example, if I do like social media work and I have no real experience, I learned everything myself. I had to try and like work and sit. I remember I started from an internship, which Andre gave me the possibility to. And for a month straight, or like even 2 months, I did, and it was like a 40-hour week work hour. So you know what it is. And I just did everything, tried everything, and now I have built something, and people come to Andre and say, wow, you have a really nice social media approach. This is learning so good. And I feel like, this is so cool. This is like a great compliment.
Another advantage of working for a small company or for a startup, you can find the kind of individual way, like you can find an agreement with your employer that says, oh, well, if your company is completely remote anyway, it's no problem. But to find a way to see the world, get out there, have all these like experiences.
You told me before shooting the podcast, which I think would be a great like sum up of all of this. What did your mom call you when you started this lifestyle? Let's say it like that.
Well, my mom defined me as a Freigeist, so like a free spirit. I do whatever I want. I go wherever I want. I work on whatever interests me. I travel wherever I want. So kind of my whole lifestyle summed up in one word would be free spirit.
So startups are free spirits as well at some point.
Startups are places for free spirits. Yeah.
Thank you so much, guys, for joining our podcast this time. It was not like the general business kind of podcast.
Philosophing about life.
Yeah, right. But I think it's also very important, and this is this is the real life, 2 guys that work in a startup, me and BotTalk here in Space and Lemons. We just really like to be transparent and tell you our story and show you what startup life is really like, because that's the whole purpose of the podcast. I hope you liked it, and if you have any further questions, you're of course very welcome to contact Malte or me, and you definitely have to look into ShareSpace. It's really cool. You want to say anything?
Thanks for having me. Thanks for the nice talk.
Thanks for joining. Bye, guys.